So I also did an investigation of the price of the hotels at in Georgetown. That is the price of constructing the Marriott Hotel in Kingston. The Marriott, like I said, is being sold for 85 million, but the price of constructing the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center, that one it turned out is about $100 million as well. So the extension to the old Pegasus, the new Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center, add about 150 rooms to the Pegasus, and turns out that the construction cost was probably somewhere around 100 million US dollars. Of course, Robert Badal and his group of investors were able to fund the construction of the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center, so that was private funding, and they're probably going to get their return on investment over the next decade or so. But the reason why the price, the hotel is so expensive is, of course, because a lot of labor is still imported, and I think during the pandemic the price of steel went up. Although Robert Badal and his group started constructing that hotel before the pandemic, so they were able to probably get the lower price on things like construction materials and steel and so on. These new hotels that are being built are going to face the full price of the cost of steel and so on. So the problem is that the hotel prices construction is probably going to keep going up, and hopefully we will get a completion of at least 7 new hotels by the time this period of construction is completed, and you'll probably be able to get a hotel room at that time for about what you would pay in Trinidad or Barbados for similar brand hotels. Here we're heading towards the tarmac. We're going to take a look at this aircraft there's an aircraft now taking off. I think it's landing. An American Airlines jet is just arriving and probably will pull up to the terminal in a few minutes, but that's an American Airlines jet. Oh, it's a Caribbean Airlines jet just landing and heading towards the terminal. That was a Caribbean Airlines jet just landing and heading towards the terminal. I think an American Airlines jet arrived afterwards. But yeah, like I was saying, the cost of construction of these hotels is probably going to be affected by the rising price of steel and so on. And I investigated the cost. As you know, in the newspapers, they published that the Aiden by Best Western would cost about $15 million to construct. But if you actually did a search on the internet for the cost of construction of the Aiden by Best Western, it turns out that the cost actually amounts to around $50 million. So the cost of construction of the new Aiden by Best Western, after it's furnished and completed and so on, that one works out to be about $50 million US dollars. Of course, now it's completed and open, they can start recouping the cost. But usually during the period of construction, you have to add the cost of interest on the loans. You have to add the cost of construction materials, which keeps changing even during the period of construction and so on. So yeah, these hotels cost between 50 million and 100 million to build, and there are about seven of them under construction, which will bring the total to 10 new hotels by the time this construction period is over. Now this is the jetway. We're looking at the western end of the airport. This jetway was built about 2 or 3 years ago. It's been completed now and it's now fully operational. So these facilities, the new jetway facilities, are already in use, completed and operational. There you can see the tail of the American Airlines jet that is already at the terminal. I think that one is about to take off. It's probably going to leave at 5 this afternoon, and the Caribbean Airlines jet that just arrived, just landed, is probably going to taxi up to the terminal building in a few minutes. But this is the western end. You can see that is the new jetway that takes you, the bridges that connect you to the aircrafts, provides us a number of new connections. This is looking back at the Marriott, the courtyard by Marriott. Now we're looking at the north end of the building. And once they take down this fence, I suppose in the next 3 months, sometime in the first quarter of next year, you'll be able to see the full extent of this structure and all its magnificence and all its glory. But right now the hotel is about 3 months away, I don't know, maybe more, from completion. If you think it's probably going to take longer, in fact, in the comments below, tell me what you think the construction schedule is like for this hotel, whether you think it's going to be completed, because right now I think it's beyond completion date. This hotel was supposed to be completed in 2023, and we're now at the end of 2024, so they're about a year already behind schedule. But tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you think? When do you think this hotel is going to be completed? Do you think it's going to be ready for operation? When it's going to be opening day? Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think that day will be. As you can see, they started painting the northern end, the building. The final colors, based on the poster that was put up initially, I think was beige and gray, like a blue-gray color. And that beige color looks like one of the final colors in the picture that they first published on the billboard, right, the poster. But this is the northern end of the courtyard by Marriott, and when it's completed, it's going to add 150 rooms of hotel rooms to the pool of hotels in Guyana. And like I said, there are a number of other hotels being built. There's Pasha Global 5-star Hotel and Resort. That one is also estimated to cost about 100 million US dollars. And it'll add another 150 rooms. There is the Sheraton, 4 Points by Sheraton in Houston. Right, this is also the Houston area is going to add 150 rooms, and that is also expected to cost about 100 million, between 50 and 100 million dollars to build. That's a tower, the control tower here at Tenerife Airport. I don't know if there are any plans to renew, to refurbish, maybe to rebuild this control tower, but these control towers now, control towers are now being built with really unique architecture, and hopefully we'll see, once they decide to build a new airport terminal and modernize this airport, maybe they'll see a new control tower. This was one of the first aircrafts from the Guyana Airways Corporation. Remember, the Guyana once had an airline. This is one of the aircrafts I remember riding in, the Guyana Airways aircraft in the 1970s, I believe. One of my first trips outside Guyana to Trinidad was in one of these turbopropeller aircrafts, a turboprop. And so this was what Guyana Airways aircraft from the 1970s and 1980s until the time it went out of business, which is reminiscent of the history of aircraft here in Guyana. I remember, yes, climbing on board of one of these aircrafts way back in my preteen years. I was about 8 years old when I first started traveling internationally. So this hopefully will come back again. The problem, of course, with the rebuilding in the aircraft industry in Guyana is because that we don't have our own refinery. I think I've addressed that in previous videos, that before it makes sense to build an aircraft industry, that is airline industry in Guyana. We have to have a reliable source of fuel, and the only way to compete is to either own your own refinery or have investment in a refinery, right? Airlines like Delta Airways and American Airlines, they actually own a portion of the refinery in New Jersey, and that guarantees the price of fuel throughout the year. And you can't really compete in the airline industry if you don't have if you don't have guaranteed fuel prices, if we don't have Guyanese owned oil refineries. I remember attending some of the meetings on the decision to build oil refineries in Guyana when ExxonMobil was advising the Guyana government against oil refineries. I thought it was pretty short-sighted, because if you are going to have a viable and competitive airline industry in Guyana, and because we are located in South America at this particularly advantageous point on the continent to have a hub here, you have to have refining capacity. We don't have to build our own refineries, but we do need to own refineries. If we can buy a refinery, perhaps in St. Croix or the British Virgin Islands or wherever there are refineries, we can buy one of those refineries and operate it, or we can invest in ownership in part of the refinery system around the world. Here is where the visit of the Indian Prime Minister comes in, right? I'm going to talk in the next 2 videos about the visit of Narendra Modi to Guyana in the last week or so, and that's a strategic alliance that Guyana has to maintain, particularly because India has refineries, oil refineries. But I'm going to talk about that in a future video, right? What is the value of a strategic alliance between Guyana and India? And right now it's looking like oil refineries are perhaps the most important investment partnership that India can provide with Guyana. If we can get access to oil refineries, and we can do so by investing in Indian refineries, then that would guarantee us the price of oil. We can refine our own oil which we produce, and we can guarantee the price of jet fuel, and that would mean we can operate a stable airline industry. But that's the consideration. Like I said, I'm working on starting my own airline industry, so these are the considerations that I have to work on, I have to thinking about as part of the process of planning for building an airline. But here we are at Cheddi Jagan International Airport, talking about the new Marriott hotel, and the implications. We said, for example, that the price of a room will come down once these hotels are completed. Not just this hotel, the Courtyard Marriott here at Cheddi Jagan International Airport, but also the AC Marriott at Ogle Airport. Then there's Pasha Global, another $100 million investment. There's a Four Points Hotel, which is another $100 million investment there in Houston. And then there is the Assets Group from Qatar that is building a new Hilton Hotel resort. It's called the Seaside Resort Complex at Carifesta Avenue. Remember, they are now turning the old GNS, Guyana National Service ground, and St. Stanislaus ground into the construction site for a new Hilton Hotel being built by the Assets Group from Qatar. That's another, I think, $250 million investment, and they're going to provide another 250 hotel rooms. It is once all of these hotels are completed, right? 7 new hotels, 10 of them in total, then we can begin to see a dent in the price per room, right? The price per night to stay at one of these hotels, like the Marriott here at Cheddi Jagan International Airport. And at that point, I think once you have these 10 new hotels that are being operated, you can expect the price per room, price per night to come down to maybe around $300 per night, from where it sits right now at $600 per night, $500 per night $600 per night at the Marriott in Kingston, $500 per night at the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center, and about $400 per night at the new Eden by Best Western. Here you can see the jet from Caribbean Airlines has just arrived. It's now at the terminal and probably beginning their disembarkation routine. But that's the jet that just landed. We saw it's coming on the tarmac, on the runway, and within 5 minutes they're at the terminal building. Like I said, the government is going to now build a Terminal 2. There's going to be a brand new terminal, which is what I said in the last video 3 months ago when I visited Chetty Jagan International Airport, that it is important to build a airport terminal that represents the period of development that Guyana is experiencing. So we're at the period of development where we're the fastest growing economy in the world, and this is a time when we ought to be able to impress the world with the kind of architecture that we're capable of building. That means that we need to hire an architect like maybe Santiago Calatrava, the architect who constructed the Oculus at the World Trade Center. Remember, the World Trade Center, Oculus was built as a transportation hub and as kind of public architecture. And that is the kind of impressive, inspiring architectural structure that you need to build for an airport. So hopefully the government will find someone of international stature like a Santiago Calatrava to design the new airport terminal for Temeria International Airport, and they probably should demolish what they're building right now, which is in fact dark and claustrophobic, and really build something that is of the standard of international airports around the world. But again, eventually we'll probably see what that looks like. People have complained that I'm criticizing. The reason why I'm criticizing what we have is because it really doesn't meet international standards. And the reason why you need to criticize stuff that doesn't meet international standards is not because you don't want to see it built, which is the incorrect conclusion that some people have been drawing. It's not that we want the government to stop building. We want the government to spend our money, taxpayers' money, in an efficient way that builds high quality structures, infrastructure that will last. When you build poor quality infrastructure, people die, right? So this is something I find that people have difficulty understanding. The reason why I criticize the roads, the road construction in a number of videos in the past is because when you don't build proper roads, when you don't design the roads for safety, people die. You get a lot more accidents, a lot more fatal accidents, and we're beginning to see that right now with half a dozen sand trucks have caused fatal accidents on the road. And people are saying, well, it's because the drivers are not experienced, or the drivers don't know how to drive, or the drivers stole their license and all that stuff. It really is not about the drivers. It is about the roads. The design of the roads is not safe. These roads have not been designed for safety, right? So a lot of the criticism keeps getting misinterpreted. I'm not criticizing these construction projects because I want the government to stop building. I'm criticizing them because we want them to build high quality infrastructure, because high quality infrastructure saves lives, right? It becomes dangerous to drive on roads that are not properly designed, and we're beginning to see that, right? So I don't know who needs to hear or to be educated about this. The criticism is not about putting down, it's not even political. It is about quality and safety and pride. So this is what's happening here at the Chetty Jagan International Airport with the construction of a new Marriott hotel. As we come around to the front, it's the last turn around the building. Hopefully I can show you the full extent of the front entrance once I get there. But what we're saying is that hopefully by the time this entire airport terminal building, the new terminal building is completed and the new complex is refurbished, redesigned, renovated, the airport will meet international standards. The hotel, this Courtyard by Marriott, is a good start. This hotel meets international standards and probably will be impressive, similar to what you can find at other airports around the world. That is, hotels that are located near to airports. This hotel will probably be a 4-star hotel or somewhere in that vicinity, a 3 or 4-star hotel, like all the Marriott hotels around the world, and represents a certain quality, right? Represents a certain experience for the traveler, both local travelers and international travelers here. And that is what we want to see continue, right? We want to see the same quality of design and execution of structures, whether it be a new airport terminal, whether it be the roads inside the airport complex, and all the infrastructure that goes with the modern Guyana, right? So I don't know how this channel keeps attracting people who are not intelligent enough to understand what I'm saying, but it is completely frustrating when I get some really stupid comments about the videos that seem to be interpreting my criticism as something political, as if I'm basically using the channel to run a political campaign. That is not what this is about. Like I said, I have absolutely no interest. I don't think politicians are the smartest people. As you can see what's happening in the US right now, what's happened is we've turned over politics to the least intelligent among us. And that's been happening for the last 20 years, 25 years in the US, and beginning to see the result of having people who are not very intelligent running an entire country. And we also have that problem here in Guyana. But the people who are smart know how to do things and know how to demand and how to get around the unintelligent people in our society. So the whole point is to find a way around the ignorance and the bad decisions, right? The decisions that are being made in the country that make life difficult, literally make life dangerous. There are people dying. There's a mother with 3 children who died in an accident who should have lived if there had been proper planning and proper designs of the roads in Guyana, right? So that's where the criticism is coming from. But right now we're approaching the front of the building. That is the front entrance of the Courtyard Marriott here at Timehri International Airport, Chedijagan International Airport. You can see the full extent of the building. Now you can see what the final colors will be. You can see from the left side of the screen there, the top of the building has been painted in the shade of beige that was first presented on the poster. All right, the first billboard that presented this, hotel showed the colors, and as you can see from this view, the top left shows the colors, the final colors of the building. This is what the entrance will look like. You can see there is a grand covering of the front entrance. There is a parking lot, so the front parking lots, this is the fence under construction, and the guard hut at the entrance, those are under construction. And you can see the driveways and the circular driveway leading up to the front entrance of the building. Right, the pavilion at the front has been completed. So the structure of the building has finally been rendered complete, and I expect the finishing touches to be completed over the next several months, perhaps early in 2025. But that's what I think, guys.